Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 2016. Wow. Monday, January 4th. We'll call this meeting to order. If you have a cell phone, turn it off. We'll start with a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barnes.
Here.
Reed. Here. Brown.
Here.
Decker. Here. Kraus.
Here.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Domingo.
Here, thank you. Mayor and council members' comments. Are there any comments tonight? Yes, Big Carrot.
Oh, so a number of residents in my precinct have approached me last couple of days about cable, about WOW, and I said I would mention it. I guess what they've done is switch the, I guess the region that we're classified under. So like, you know, instead of getting news and weather reports out of Lansing and Jackson, it's coming out of Grand Rapids. And I know that we don't have a lot of authority over that, but I think, if we could, I think the way it's supposed to be done is you're supposed to like send complaints to the Michigan Public Service Commission or something like that. But if we could help move something along, that'd be good. And I know we don't have a lot of control, but.
And if I could just add, we just received notification from the Michigan Public Service Commission that they will no longer be handling regulation of the cable industry. So you really have no mechanism in terms of another entity in terms of the oversight.
Wow, was that a recent legislative?
Now you understand why it's called what it's called, Garrett.
Wow.
You said wow.
Yeah, I know, it's, wow, okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? See none. Citizens' comments, persons addressing the city council, excuse me, shall limit their comments to agenda items only and no more than 5 minutes. Proper decorum is required.
First of the year is known here.
No citizens' comments. Consent calendar. Approval of special council session minutes for December 18th, 2015. And approval of regular session minutes for December 21st, 2015.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Were there any questions on either one? See none, voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Passes. Thank you. Items for individual discussion. A, request approval of boards and commission appointment. Local Officers Compensation Commission to Betty Branch, her initial appointment. Term expires 10/1 of 2020.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions?
Yeah, so who is she replacing? Who's stepping off? Carolyn Gaswick?
Jim Noble.
Oh, of course. Yeah, okay.
No?
Actually, it was Mr. Walsh.
Oh, Bill Walsh. From the Catholic Church.
What?
He used to.
Oh, right. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. No other questions? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Reed. Yes. Brown.
Yes.
Decker.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
And Mayor Domingo.
Yes, thank you.
Good day.
B, request approval for tentative agreement for ASME's union, DPW department.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Decker.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Reed. Yes. And Mayor Domingo.
Yes, thank you. C,
Okay, Mayor and Council, what you had on the agenda was the request for approval of the 2-year labor agreement for the TPOAM/ACA, the folks in the Finance Department. And they just received the actual document over the holidays, so they haven't had the time to fully read it in detail, so we're just asking to pull it off until they had a chance to review it and ratify it, and we'll bring it back hopefully at the next meeting. So if you could postpone.
Joe?
So do you want to table this? Yeah, I'm sorry.
I move that we table this until such time as the members of the union have a chance to review the contract and bring it back to us as soon as that is a viable option.
Is it support? Is it, I don't know if I can ask this question. Was
I
it
would
based-
think the 19th would be plenty.
Yeah, I would think so.
anticipate that'll be fine.
But didn't we already go ahead and,
The tentative agreement.
didn't we already approve that?
We did the tentative agreement, but this is the actual contract,
Right.
the new contract. So the tentative outlines the changes. The contract, the new contract incorporates those changes that are in the tentative agreement into the larger document.
Are they just, have they not reviewed it, or do they have an issue, or?
No issues, they just hadn't had a chance to review it in detail.
Okay, okay.
Okay. It makes sense, because we already did the letter of approval.
And I
The
really
letter of
think it was
agreement.
I think it was really their business agent was out of town for the holidays and really didn't have a chance to look at it.
Right.
Okay. Roll call vote then. Did you get a motion? And
I second it.
okay.
Councilmember Decker,
Yes.
Kraus. Yes. French.
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed. Yes. Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Domingo.
Yes. Request for approval of Resolution 2016-01, 2015 Iron Bell Project Proposal and City Match.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions?
What's the dollar of the match?
There isn't really a dollar amount, approximately $1,000, and even with that, we're anticipating that we would get some local sponsors to support that. And this is a $30,000 grant application to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund for the expansion of the nature trail going, I don't know my directions, west?
North and west.
Towards Marshall?
Yes, towards Marshall, for that connectivity. So I think we stand a really good chance of getting that. We've been working very closely with the Calhoun County Trail Association, and we're really thrilled to get their support in doing this. I provided you with maps that kind of outline where that new segment would be, and that's the blue area if you're looking at the colored map. But it's also a component of a larger expansion of the Iron Bell Trail, which is a priority of the governor, which is why this is really has a really good chance of getting funded. So this would actually go all the way through to Emmett Township. So it's one of the segments along that larger plan of the trail expansion.
So basically, the 30,000 would just be that,
The engineering work
The
associated with the
small-
blue,
okay.
exactly.
and then the orange, what's going on with the orange? Is that,
So I was at the meeting. So the orange is the continuation of the trail.
Yes.
And they have done preliminary engineering, and at that meeting, which was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks
Right,
ago?
we've had some subsequent to that.
Yeah, they outlined, this engineering firm, PEA, outlined their proposal for the trail, and that's what you see in orange. They've done preliminary engineering, so not complete, because they don't own that property.
Right.
okay,
So each segment is at various stages of readiness.
okay.
So Marshall would be looking at assuming some of it, Emmett Township, some of it, and even the, I believe the Indian Reservation
Okay.
representatives are looking at certain segments, so it'll be a real collaborative process. But ours, they're all being submitted, but I think that the Albion portion is the most ready to move forward. So we stand a very good chance of getting funded through this.
So are you telling me the blue line is what they want to put in?
Yes.
Much of it's already there, because it's the bike trail.
So this is really the engineering component to make it compliant with the trail specifications for the Iron Bell Trail. And don't ask me more details. Different types of trails
I was
require.
gonna say, because if I'm looking at this correctly, and they're gonna go next to that treatment plant, they're gonna find a surprise up through there, but they're the engineers. Okay, if there's no further questions,
I do have one question. This would basically, the trail that's like going through Washington Park, that bike thing, is it extending that or just doing, or bringing that up to code, or not code, but up to the standard?
Yeah, it's bringing it up to a standard set by the Iron Belt Trail
Okay,
group,
Yeah.
state.
okay,
So I'm not sure what the exact dimensions are, but I think in order for it to be a bike and pedestrian trail, it has to be 10 feet wide.
okay,
And that's 6 feet of pavement with 2 feet on either side in gravel.
okay.
And so some of our bike path already is there.
Okay.
But if you look at where Mayor Joe was talking about by the wastewater treatment facility, the bike trail crosses the river and it doubles back towards, this is not gonna cross the river, it's gonna stay north of the river. So there's gonna have to be,
that's why I say it's
a
not
new-
following the trestle. Isn't that what we,
right.
So when this is all done, there's actually gonna be a physical,
Yeah, this is,
Yes.
yes, this is physical construction.
okay,
okay.
cool. All right, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yes,
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed, Brown,
Yes.
Decker,
Yes.
Mayor Domingo.
Yes. E and F, cross out your roll call votes. These are just discussions. E, discuss resolution 2016-02, attendance policy. Cheryl?
Yes, we were in the process of updating our personnel handbook, which will be coming to you in the coming weeks. And in doing that, and in having discussions recently with even our ASME union relative to attendance policy and codes of conduct, we found out that we really don't have any in place citywide. So it seemed to make sense to have a citywide policy that's applied equally to everyone instead of just picking out one certain group and have certain standards in place. So this is the first draft of the attendance policy that would be applied to all city employees. And it's a discussion item at this point because we wanted to have an opportunity for the council members as well as our employees and department heads to have some input and feedback, and it'll be brought back to you in February for the final adoption.
cool.
Is there any discussion?
No, I looked at you, I did.
Yes.
Thanks, Mayor. So, again, what this sounds like is placing some responsibility upon supervisors to maintain, know where their employees are and to be accountable.
Yes.
So, thank you, I appreciate that.
Anyone else?
I read it, it was quite thorough.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
And we did have our council review it as well, but I still will welcome any comments or feedback as we go forward to the final document.
Okay. And F is discuss the resolution 2016-03, rules of conduct. I'm sure is the same.
And it's basically the same. I do want to say that the policy was modeled after some of the best practices that MML provides, as well as information that we already have in place for our public safety officers. So some of this was already in place, but it wasn't applied to all of our employees. So we're taking a broader look at it and seeing what makes sense for all of our employees relative to our expectations of their behaviors and how can we enforce that.
Okay.
So again, this is for discussion and feedback period, and I will be bringing this back in February for the final adoption.
Okay. Yes, Andy?
Oh, go ahead. Point number 13, possession and use of controlled substances, narcotics. I'm wondering about privacy issues, medical privacy issues, when it comes to having to divulge to your supervisor some prescription that you're taking. I'm just wondering if that's,
Well,
Go ahead, Phil.
we're trying at the beginning of the
I
year,
couldn't see
Joe.
his hand, it blended right in with his head.
Oh!
thank you. As, you know, obviously that this is there primarily for the employees that are either gonna be operating a motor vehicle.
Right.
Or public safety officers, and so in those cases,
Right, no, I get that.
doing those things while sober would be a bona fide occupational qualification, so we're not gonna have any issues with saying, hey, if you're on a medication that is going to impair your ability, or impair your cognitive or
Right.
or physical abilities, you have to disclose it, because otherwise we're gonna be at risk for
Right.
somebody causing a car crash, or somebody making maybe a poor judgment call in
Right.
a,
So then you don't necessarily have to say, okay, I'm taking drug X. You could say, hey, that's one of the side effect warnings that
That I'm having.
not.
right, now, obviously, the main issue with this policy is, you can't use alcohol while you're working, or being
Right.
under the influence while you're working. You can't cocaine or heroin, which are obvious, but, if, for example, somebody had some dental work done and they got prescribed Vicodin, and they're supposed to be out plowing the roads, then I think that they need to come to the supervisor and say, hey, Jim, I can't drive the plow truck today because I'm on some painkillers for having my wisdom teeth out or whatever.
Okay.
And they can get, I don't know if they even need to get that specific, they just say, I'm on some medication where the label says I shouldn't be driving.
Right.
There's
But
no
it would,
division.
it would be to the benefit of the employee to to bring a note with them.
Right, no, I get that.
And
But,
give it to just
Right.
your supervisor, let them know,
Right.
hey, tonight's not a good night to call me.
right. My concern is that what percentage of our staff are driving city vehicles? Is it 80%? Is it 15, 20%? I mean,
Well, that could
So-
vary depending on what they're,
right, but
we
what
get a
I'm
heavy
saying is.
snowstorm, that could be 3 departments right off the get-go.
Right, no, I get that. I just read that as applying to all employees.
Right.
And so I'm just wondering, if I'm not driving a vehicle, if I'm working, if Tom blows out his back, does he report to Cheryl that he's on Vicodin if it doesn't inhibit his job performance? Because he's not driving.
Right, but.
No,
it's
but he
not
could
just
fall out of
physical
his chair.
job performance. I mean, if he's doing financial calculations under
Right.
the influence of a class 2 narcotic, that's probably something we're gonna wanna know.
Right.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
just,
not necessarily the extent of it, but saying,
Right.
hey, I'm on some medication, I probably shouldn't be doing this because I'm a little bit fuzzy here.
right.
I think just the
Anybody can
awareness.
influence.
Right, no,
Of
I
letting
understand that.
somebody know.
I'm just worried about privacy issues and how that impacts,
Becky?
Can we possibly get a list of what the class B controlled substances would be? Because I'm sitting here wondering, would that include like mood elevators, what would it include? But if I'm wondering, other people might as well, is what I'm saying. We need to put what would be included in that, I think, as far as naming off the medications that would be included in that.
that's hundreds.
My only concern with that is because the drug industry changes so rapidly, if we don't include it on a list, someone might say, well, it wasn't listed, so it didn't apply to me.
So the idea
But most medications will say if you are supposed to be cautious in terms of, driving or operating heavy machinery. So how, as the employer, do we maintain a safe workplace? If
Right.
We have to have some level of knowledge relative to someone being in an altered state.
Right,
Well, and it's got, the wording is, it impairs their ability to do their duties, so if somebody's, say, on an antidepressant, that's not something that has to be disclosed because it doesn't impair their ability to do their job, whereas oxycodone may very well.
right. Okay.
I had one question because I was curious about when I read it, and I guess this might be under the previous item for the attendance thing, but about pattern absences, there's a thing that says, when I read it, it says using leave time as quickly as earned. Has that been a problem, or what's the,
We discussed that already.
what's the, if you get if you get a day off, what's the problem with somebody using it soon after, I guess?
Where it typically, and that wasn't put in there because we identified it as a specific problem to us,
Oh,
but it
okay.
was identified as language that was included in other policies.
Okay.
One of the things I did was ask through the listserv, other city managers, what policies they had in place, so it was a compilation of all of that language.
Okay.
But usually when you see that in place, that means, one, they've used up all of their time if they have to use
Okay.
a day, so that means as soon as they earn a day, they're using a day.
Okay.
So those types of behavior patterns we
Okay.
need to take a closer look at.
Okay.
Any more discussion? If not, we'll move on to G, discussion possible charter amendments.
Well, Mayor and Council, you had requested that we take a look at changing our fiscal year from the calendar year, as well as how to get language on upcoming ballots for that, as well as the reorganization of administrative offices, specifically the city clerk's office. So I don't know if we have any detailed information at this time. I think one of the concerns is, and Tom, you may want to come up, is just relative to the mechanics of making that shift with our BSNA system. It can be a little bit cumbersome from my past experiences, and how to make that transition. So we're trying to get some detailed information into what would it entail, what have other communities experienced. We did reach out to Marshall, and they said that they did not do a shift in the past 20 years, which seemed contrary to what many people had mentioned to me, but that's what they told us.
21 years ago.
Okay, well.
So
So we're still looking at that. We know we're in a tight time frame if we're going to be looking at the May election.
are they still doing just a regular calendar year, Marshall?
No, but they're saying that the fiscal year they're using was not one that was changed in recent memory.
Okay.
They use July to July or
July to June.
July to June? Okay.
Yeah, I think what changed recently was their 2-year budget, is what they did.
One of the things that Tommy, the finance director, will be looking at is what information is made available when, to help facilitate our discussion on if we're going to look at a different year, what seems to make the most sense.
Okay. Well, right now, what do we have going towards for a charter amendment at this point that has to go on the ballot? Yes?
Right now, we have the, removing the selling city property at fair market, or fair market value as determined by the assessor. I talked with both Cheryl and Jill today. Apparently, later in the day, Jill found out that, the AG's office has not gotten back to us yet with their approval. And from what I understand from Jill is that if they don't, and I'm gonna follow up with them tomorrow, if they don't get us an answer within the next 2 days, the county won't allow us to get it on the ballot in time for the March election.
Well, March I get, because that's January 16th.
Right.
But for the May, we have until February 16th.
Right, but to get it on this next election,
Right.
we have
Right.
to have it.
We were trying to get this one on the next one,
Right,
Oh, I thought we were,
and
we
what's
submitted
held
it.
up is the AG's office.
right.
So,
Yeah,
so I guess what we need to do is if, we'll know in the next couple of days, but if we got something that needs to go on in the May one, we have to get moving on it yesterday. So we can't be diddling around with it.
We have 5 weeks, 6 weeks until the February deadline comes along, so.
But the problem is getting it to,
Right.
because
you guys
technically,
approve it, and then.
It has to go through
we have to
everything.
send it to the governor, they have to send it to the AG.
Oh, I see what you're
and then
saying,
we have to
yeah,
report it back.
yeah.
And then with the ballot deadlines
See.
done.
Right.
what kills us is there seems to be a significant period of lag time between the governor receiving it and them transmitting it to the AG. We lost a couple of weeks there. I mean, I would love it to be streamlined where we can just send it right to the AG, and then if they say yes, give it to the governor, but then it would be a well-oiled government organization. Not just,
Right, okay.
Easy there.
Okay, well, like I said, if we have things that need to get on there, we gotta get moving on it and get the language and everything else done and, get the process rolling. If not, then we're gonna end up waiting till August, and if we wait till August, we might as well
Next year.
change the whole charter.
well, other than the possible, fiscal year, which, I mean, I'm, you guys can decide whether or not you're gonna do that, is separating out the clerk's office from under the finance department, and that's no problem. I'm already working on that one, so that should be done shortly.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So if there's any request or anything else of what needs to be changed, we need to get those in, so, okay. Discussion of the fundraiser for Holland Park.
This was requested by Councilmember Lynn Reed.
On February 12th and 13th, 12th being a Friday and the 13th being a Saturday of February, how the Highland Park Transformation Committee will be hosting a play by Washington Productions with Dr. Von Washington Sr. and his cast at Albion Middle School. And on the Friday night, it will be at 7 o'clock, and on Saturday night, it will be at 4 o'clock Saturday evening. And the play is called In Search of Giants Who Cared About Me. And it's a play that comes from the American past, where a doctor and a well-meaning professor make several trips to a museum in Schoolcraft, Michigan, that was once a safe house conducted by Dr. Nathan Thomas and his wife Pamela, and he finds out all about the history of slavery and how they helped the slaves to get through up into Canada. Anyway, anybody who knows Von Washington, he was born here in Albion, he was raised here in Albion, the family lived right over from Highland Park, and he puts on excellent productions. And if you go on the Chamber of Commerce website, thanks to Amy Robertson, she's been helping us with this, and on there they have it's like a GoFundMe page for anyone who would like to give a donation towards the cost of the production. We will also be selling tickets. They'll be available probably within the next couple of weeks. We'll be selling tickets to the play, and anyone who gives a $100 donation towards the play will get free ticket. So for everybody who wants to see a good Black History play, who wants to have a nice evening out, because after the play you will get a chance to mingle and talk with the staff, and they're very excited about meeting people from Albion because he hasn't been here for a while. But anyway, we invite you to come to the play, to purchase a ticket and to enjoy an evening.
Washington Gardner.
Yeah, junior high school.
It's at the junior high school at 7.
7 p.m. on Friday, 4
Friday.
p.m. on Saturday. What is the cost of the tickets?
The cost of the tickets are $15 for adults, and it's lesser for children under a certain age. I don't have all that information, but advertisements will be out within the next week. So you'll see them, and we'll be having it in the newspaper and everything, so keep your eye out for us.
Great.
Okay.
All the proceeds from the play, after we cover our expenses, will go to Holland Park, and that will help us to get more things put out there and get it built up in less time than it would take.
Good. Sounds good. Any questions of Lynn? Sounds good, Lynn. Thank you. Future agenda items. Oh. Must be your. Cheryl, would you please like to give us a city manager report?
Certainly I would. Well, first of all, Happy New Year, everyone, and we're off to a great start. First of all, I want to thank, I don't know if everyone remembers seeing the Christmas tree at the corner of Michigan. And it was donated by Miss Deb McKenzie from Marshall, and her father, I believe, is a retiree from our fire department, and they donated that beautiful tree. So I just wanted to thank them again publicly for making that available to us. And also, we received the $10,000 from the Calhoun County Office of Senior Services for Highland Park, so that's in hand, and we're going forward with the purchases that they are supporting. And let's see. We're still working with Albion College, and one of the professors there, he has a group of about 15 to 20 students who will be volunteering with us for a few months. So we're looking for opportunities where they're a good match for the students in here to be helping out. So it's a really good partnership, and we're always enthusiastic to have all these young people here learning about how government works. And in front of you, I shared with you the confirmation from DEQ in regards to the testing of our water quality, and as you see, we received outstanding results, so our water did not show any presence of lead. I know that's been a big issue with the Flint area, so we're very pleased to see that we received a clean report in regards to our water. There will be that meeting that I mentioned at our last session in regards to just how do we address the lead issue, because there's, as long as you have older buildings and older infrastructure, there's always concerns. So there's going to be a regional meeting from the county in terms of how to address those ongoing questions. And I also shared with you, I have a meeting that's being coordinated by the Calhoun County Land Bank with our Congressman Kildee in regards to his proposed legislation. It's called Project Rebuild. And so this is the neighborhood revitalization program and the funding. So this is the next generation of the funding for that. And one of the big questions is how can smaller communities such as Albion tap into those resources? Typically, we did not meet the criteria to receive funding, so whether it's a collaboration through a larger entity such as the land bank, but this is the start of that conversation on how can we benefit from those neighborhood revitalization projects and the funding that they're trying to put forward. So I'm very excited about having that, and I shared the fact sheet with you in regards to that. And there's ongoing things going with our school district and the annexation. There is the joint meeting between the Marshall School Board and the Albion School Board in regards to the cooperative agreement. That's on Wednesday. And so I think I forwarded that email to you so that you're aware of that. But also, in speaking with Dr. Randy Davis, the superintendent from Marshall, there's a number of sessions being planned in the coming weeks, and I asked him if he could possibly make that available to us. So one of the sheets that you have in front of you are the dates of a number of sessions that are going to be held, whether they're for the public or parents or students. Just so you have that information, you can share it with people in the community as well. I thought that would be helpful if we all had that same information, so we can attend if you choose to, but at least you have the information that you can share with others. And I just want to remind everyone that your next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 19th, because Monday is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, and the celebration will be held that day. So we'll not be meeting on Monday, but on the Tuesday, the 19th.
Would it be proper to ask a question about that school system you just mentioned? You're gonna have some joint meetings?
Yes.
Can I ask, did they discuss a plan B to anything yet?
I have not been privy to a conversation around what would happen if annexation were not to proceed. I don't know if those conversations are happening, but I have not, it hasn't been shared with me at least.
Well, I think we all know without annexation, if it's voted down, we move into the dissolvement or something, but I just want to know if there was any type of plan B. You've answered my question, thank you.
One thing I will ask, and I'm gonna reach out to a couple people too. I know they've submitted the grant already. So if we could get a copy of that, that'd be helpful.
Right, it's my understanding they plan on presenting that at the next regular school board meeting,
Okay.
which is next, I think it's Tuesday.
Okay.
So they'll be presenting it there. I don't know if any information will be available in advance of that, but I know they'll be presenting it at that meeting.
Okay. Yes.
With regard, I'm sorry, I'm a scientist. So with regarding to the water analysis, one of the things that happened in Flint was that the water coming out of the wells or out of the supply lines did not have much lead in them. But because of the pH of the water, it was leaching lead out of supply pipes and housing pipes. So I'm wondering if we can get, at some point, a report about what the pH of our well water is, because I know I'm pretty sure we're not testing in people's homes. So we don't know if the lead in a 100-year-old home, which may or may not have lead solder in it, has elevated lead because the pH is wrong for, that causes that leaching to be accelerated. So I'm sure that Jay can provide that, or someone in water can provide
I'll try
that,
to
but
get that
that's,
information.
thank you.
If there's no further, we'll go to future agenda items. Yes.
I'd asked, did we receive an update on the Austin Avenue properties in, what I call the initiative block? I wanted to know some of the status, if they're up to code. I know some of them had talked about restoration, remodeling, demolition, or they're gonna sell them. I just wanna keep it in a timely fashion to try to help make that an attractive for our future. Thank you.
And probably, I guess, if there's anything you can think of, for the, change in the charter, might wanna bring any of your suggestions to next meeting, or get them to Cheryl prior to that, so she can get them to Cullen, and then we can discuss them at the next meeting, what we've come up with, so. I think that's something, regardless whether we get it on the first ballot or not, we need to move forward with those movements, so we have time to get those together, so. If there is no more on that, we'll go to citizens' comments. And are there any citizens that want to speak tonight? Matter of fact, I'll give you 10 minutes. Nobody wants to speak, so if there is no further, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Thank you very much.
Cheryl, we'll save the contract, so you don't have to print it out again.
Okay,
Yeah.
got that. All right.
Trying to save some paper.